Hi, I'm Ross the Boss. We have a great interview today. We have two-time Pro Bowler, 14-year NFL veteran. He also has the record for the longest field goal in NFL history at 64 yards. I think Ross the Boss can kick at least 65. That's me. Let's welcome Matt Prater. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, before I ask, now, is it true that if you kick a 65-yard field goal this year, you're buying the whole city of Detroit a beer? What's the truth behind that?
Pretty much. Just kind of a little back and forth between Brandon McManus, who kicks in Denver, kind of just giving kind of joking back and forth, and he tagged Bud Light in it, and now we're competing for the longest field goal for free beer for an entire city, whether it's Denver or Detroit.
Do you think your coach will let you kick a 65-yard? I mean, it's not really your call to do it. It's your coach.
Right.
I mean, will he bring you out there to do it? I mean, does he know you want to break the record again?
Yeah, I think every kicker in the NFL wants to break the record or at least get a chance to. It just, with the NFL, games are always so close. It just has to be the perfect scenario to get an opportunity to kick one so far, just because of the field position if you don't make it.
How would you compare kicking? I know you kick for Denver, and I know you kick in Detroit now. Compare the two cities. I know people say the ball carries in Denver, which I know because of I know baseball players love playing there. What's the dip? Do you see a big difference when you're kicking in both places?
A little bit. Anytime, obviously in Detroit we play in a dome, so anytime you can play indoors, it makes things easier. Denver was nice early on in the season because the ball definitely travels a bit further, but sometimes you deal with weather out there. I think this weekend they're expecting snow and 15 degrees, so that would be the only negative side about kicking in Denver. Everything else is awesome.
And where do you like to? What's the worst place to kick? I mean, if you had I know Green Bay's just a horrible, just sitting on the sidelines almost the whole game and just waiting to go in there to kick the ball. I'm sure that's horrible. But
yeah,
for you, what's the worst place for you to kick a ball at? Like, you just dread going there.
There's actually a few places. I'm not a huge fan of playing in New England late because the way their stadium was built, there's an open corner, so the wind kind of comes in and swirls, so no matter where you are on the field, it feels like you're kicking into a strong wind. So mentally that's tough, but Cleveland can be tough late in the year for sure. Chicago is always really cold and really, really windy. Green Bay is obviously cold late in the year. We were lucky and already played them this season. But yeah, any of those northern teams that play outdoors can be really tough late in the season.
I was gonna say I heard the Steelers, at least at one end, is hard.
Yeah, I think they have. I've only played there once, and it was in preseason, so I don't remember the stadium that well. But I think they did have one open corner.
That's funny. You've been around so long. I thought you would have played there, but that's
no. I feel like in Denver they always came to us when I was in Denver. So
I wanted to ask a question. It's also about the 64-yarder. I don't want you to feel pigeonholed by that. Of course, we're very excited to have you for multiple reasons. But when I was a kid growing up, I was fascinated by Tom Dempsey, who was the guy who had the 63-yarder, and he had a half a foot, which I don't understand how that happened. I couldn't kick like a 25-yarder with a whole foot. But when you came out to kick that, did you have any sense of that moment, or you were just like in the zone? What was it like?
Honestly, I didn't know it was for the record until we went out and got the spot. Am I allowed to cuss on this show or no?
Yes, you can say anything you want.
Okay. All right. So I'll kind of go word for word. So I remember Peyton completed a pass to Tammy. He got out of bounds really quick, and I knew it was going to be just over a 60-yard kick. I couldn't tell where he went out of bounds because it was on the opposite sideline. So we're going out there, and the holder gets down to get the spot. And it was Britton Colquitt, who's a pretty religious guy, doesn't cuss. And I think he goes, "Holy shit, this is for the record." So as I'm taking my steps back, I take my 3 steps back, and I'm saying to him, "Why the hell would you tell me that right now?" As I'm taking my steps.
Seriously, you don't want to know
that was our conversation right before the kick.
And are you a superstitious guy? Are there any? I know a lot of kickers are. They talk about it. Do you do any superstitious stuff before a game or before a kick? Is there anything that?
For some reason, I picked up the last several years. I feel like now is the smelling salts before a field goal.
One of those guys, yeah.
Yeah, I think I started doing it when I was younger on a game winner. Like a trainer would just give it to me, so I was like, man, what the hell,
And you just break it.
And just
Yeah.
What does it do for you?
I don't know. It kind of just, I feel like it kind of just like, not wakes you up a little bit, but kind of like sharpens your focus a little bit. I don't know,
I can see it. No,
Yeah,
I can see it. It just like brings you into the moment so that you can just be there.
Yeah.
How do you deal with when I think about being an NFL kicker, I think about a lot of pressure. It's like you're on the sideline for a long time, but a lot of times you come in at these huge pressure moments, and I just wanted to hear what it's like on the sideline for you going through that process.
I kind of don't look at it like that. I just expect when they call my number, I expect to go out and make the kick. So I don't really
drill a field goal.
Overthink it. Right.
See, this is why you're a kicker and I can't be, because I wouldn't do well. You got the right mindset.
I don't know. And I think when you think positive and you're confident in what you're doing, I think the results usually come with it too.
And in the Lions playbook, you don't have to tell us this if it's a secret. Is there a play where it's a fake field goal and you get to throw the ball to maybe like a receiver? I mean, is there something in the playbook?
We had one a few years ago, but as of now, I don't think they want me throwing the ball. Threw one a few years ago. We were lucky and completed it for a touchdown. It was pretty cool, but
that's great.
But now I think our punter, who's the holder, was a quarterback in high school, so I think they'd rather have him throwing the ball if there was some kind of fake like that. I'm just assuming.
So we won't see any Matt Prater touchdown passes this year, unfortunately.
No, I don't see the two of us running an option.
No. So Matt, we talk fantasy football here. We're experts on the fantasy football world. Do you guys play fantasy football? Have you played it before? Are you familiar with it?
It's funny. I'm familiar with it. I've never actually played, but I have tons of friends and family members that play and, talk about it quite a bit.
Okay. So we have an expert named Andrew who has no respect for kickers. And he has this whole theory. He has this whole theory he does every week on me because I respect the kickers. I think the kickers can make or break your week, as you know, and you were my number one pick this week to pick up. Because I love. Did
you know you were actually on our waiver wire?
Yeah, you're a huge star this week on our waiver
Matt Prater
wire
because we treasure you.
So we want to bring on Andrew, and he wants to explain to you his whole theory on kickers and why they're not that important in what he does every week with fantasy football and in the.
Here he comes.
And here he comes. This is Andrew, and he actually won. Andrew, tell him what you did this week in football that you like the number one analyst in fantasy football this week.
I'm sure Matt will be very impressed. I work for a fantasy site called Fantasy Pros, and each week writers from all across the industry, like for CBS, ESPN, Yahoo, all those places, submit their rankings to the site and then it's measured based on how accurate it is. So this last week, 2 weeks ago, I was number 8 out of 170. Writers and accuracy, and this last week I was number 1. So it was a good week for what I do. But
so his ego's big, right? His ego's huge right now, Matt.
Well, contrary to what
I'm impressed. I think that's pretty impressive.
It is impressive. I know, but don't.
Well, I didn't
don't
think I was going to get
ego.
to brag about it to an NFL player this week. So thank you for making my day there, Ross. But I do have to object to what Ross said there about my lack of appreciation for kickers. I have a great appreciation for kickers, and I actually think that. Once I explain to you what it is that I believe about kickers in fantasy, you might understand it and agree with me even. You said something early in the interview I saw about getting the opportunity to kick that long field goal, and you just don't know if it's going to happen, right? When you're a kicker, you're sort of at the whims of the game, right? The game flow. So the best kicker in the league isn't necessarily going to make the most field goals that year, right? Or even the most extra points. It has a lot to do with that team's offense, their defense, the conditions, like you mentioned, so many other factors. So us fantasy football people, we're not we just push buttons. We don't do anything physically like you do. But for us, it's a numbers game. So what I try to do is I basically look at the probabilities, and I look at the fact that there are a lot of different things that affect which kicker might have a good week in a certain week, and that might not be factored in by the average fan that's not paying as close attention. So for that reason, I'll rotate my kickers during the course of the season and try to find one who maybe plays for a team that like has a big lead. They're favored by a lot of points. So maybe they'll be ahead in the second half and they'll be kicking field goals in the second half because they're playing with a lead. They'll play a little more conservatively, right? Instead of going for it on fourth down. So that kind of situation. So I don't know if that's something that you can sort of, wrap your head around a little bit in terms of your experience as a kicker.
I totally agree with you. If you, say on a certain team is going, to play somewhere on the road that not only could the conditions be tough, but also playing a really good defense. And so just the opportunities, it could be almost next to zero, and if you get a guy that goes, 4 for 4 on extra points and has 2 chip shot field goals, he's going to be one of the leading scorers. So I would definitely agree with you on all that.
See, Ross, there you go.
Okay, fine. Hey, Matt, so growing up, I know you kicked in high school, you kicked in college.
Yeah.
What kicker did you look up to? Who was like the guy that you wanted to meet, who wanted you to like get some tips from? Who was somebody that you really thought was the best kicker when you were growing up?
It was definitely hands down Adam Vinatieri. He was the man.
Did you get to meet him?
Sense.
Yeah, it was actually really cool. I just remember watching all of his big, clutch kicks in the biggest, moment possible, which was so cool to watch. But I was lucky. A few years ago, we went down and did a week of training camp with the Colts. So I got to hang out with him all week and pick his brain a little bit. It was really cool.
That's great. So
that's great.
I was a huge fan.
I
actually was at the Super Bowl that he won, that first Patriots one. It's the only Super Bowl I ever went to, and I dreamed of going to the Super Bowl as a kid, and just to see that was
that's awesome.
I grew up in Boston, so everyone there loves Vinatieri.
Yeah, he's the man. He's the man.
Yeah. How's Adrian Peterson to in practice? How's he to hang out with?
He's awesome. He's as advertised too. He's it's awesome seeing a guy basically my age still playing at such a high level. Practices hard, awesome teammate, just awesome guy.
No, he's like age doesn't affect him. He's unbelievable. Yeah. And now you have that rookie from Georgia, Swift, who had a great game last week, and he'll be getting probably half the handoffs this week, right, Andrew?
Yeah, well, we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see. Matt might know some insider info about how they're going to share those backfield touches, but they still got Kerryon Johnson. They still got AP, as Matt mentioned. So they got three really accomplished running backs there to choose from.
Andrew could be number one again if you give him the inside scoop.
Yeah, I need my insider trading.
This is how we do it. We bring on. Sometimes it's a kicker, sometimes it's a linebacker, but we try to get the inside information, then we funnel it to Andrew and prop him up as our expert.
Yes.
Actually, Matt, I wanted to ask a question about kicking. This is, it came to me almost as a joke, but I realized it's kind of true. You must have to take care of your kicking leg, especially. Do you not even think about that? Clearly I don't have the mindset of being a kicker.
No, you definitely do. You want to take care of your entire body, though, especially at such a long season. It's cool. At our facility, we have a lot of things we can use as far we have massage therapists that come in and stretch you. Have you guys ever tried that cryotherapy?
I haven't tried it.
I've never tried it.
Tell us about it.
It's awesome. You go in this machine for 2 minutes. It's the nitrogen goes in there and it gets to negative 200 degrees in there. And 2 minutes, and it's almost equivalent to 10 minutes in the ice bath.
And it works. You feel rejuvenated.
Wow.
Yeah, I love it.
It really works.
But it's not that uncomfortable.
It's pretty cold, but you get
negative 200 sounds pretty cold.
Yeah, it's not. I think you get used to it like anything else.
Do you work out with all with everybody else on the team? Do you go in the weight room and do weights with all the players?
Yeah, we do the off-season program. We all kind of do the same stuff, same running. I just
are you competitive with some of the running backs and the linebackers?
I always liked to lift weights. I've always been into lifting and going and getting extra. So I'll bench with anybody. It doesn't matter.
That's great. No, I've seen some kickers that are I remember Sebastian Janikowski. I've been to a gym with him before, and he benches close to 400 pounds.
Right.
And just a beast. And I've seen some of these kickers, and in the uniform they look small, but you get them out of the uniform, they're lifting just as much as some of the running backs and wide receivers on the team. You know, it's kind of deceptive, which I think is great, because in the old days the kickers would never pick up a weight, as you know, but now they're all staying in shape and they're looking good, and they're actually they look like athletes now, compared to like Morton Anderson from the past. Or I can name some more, like George Blanda.
Or remember Garo Yepremian? Who do you remember this? He was in the Super Bowl and he threw the ball in the air.
A couple years ago too, but
yeah,
that's true. That's true.
I dropped like 20 pounds in the last year.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I got a little heavy set for a year or two.
So what did you do? Did you stop drinking? Did you stop?
Kind of bit it.
You on the Tom Brady diet, or?
No, I can't diet like that, especially with 3 kids. But started eating better and kind of changed up the workouts and different things I was doing. So
great. And you watch college football, right? You went to school in Florida. You still support your old alumni, Central Florida, correct?
Yep. UCF.
Yeah, they're always pretty good in football. You still watch the games and you still cheer for them, obviously.
Yeah, anytime they're on TV, I watch.
I'm happy to see they're back on TV. I mean, you know, the season almost was canceled, but the Big Ten starting up this weekend, which is great.
I'm sure everyone in Michigan's super pumped. I went to University of Michigan, so
okay,
we're
cool.
ready for some Big Ten football.
For sure, it was cool. This offseason, I actually worked with their specialists quite a bit.
Oh, did you? Cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. Awesome. They have some specialists.
If you had to train an relatively out of shape 46-year-old man to kick a field goal, how long of a field goal do you think you could get me to kick? I'm just curious.
I'd give you probably a 40-yarder if I worked with you for a little bit.
Wow.
Oh my god.
That gets you that extra
Matt
point in
Prater's
fantasy
good.
if it's over 40 yards there, Dan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A 4-point field goal.
Yeah. Anytime I miss a kick, the first people that reach out to me are fantasy owners.
Well, I was going to say, Matt,
Really?
you're always one of the more popular kickers to have on the team because you're so good at kicking those over 50 yarders, because you get the extra bonus for if it's over 50 yards. You get 5 points.
I was probably on the waiver wire in your league because the only misses I've had this year over 55 yards, and so it's like
I couldn't pick you up after the waiver wire. I was like, I'm picking up Matt Prater, and you're owned.
I saw the 57-yarder you attempted, but it was little to the left. You had enough leg.
Yeah, I just it stinks.
But
you get to go out for those long opportunities. I just didn't hit it as well as I should have. I kind of just didn't hit the football clean, and it kept going left and missed left.
So this weekend, tell us about this weekend and your chances this weekend. What do you think is going to happen? Give us a quick prediction.
We're playing the Falcons, and we've been studied them. They look really good on tape. So we'll see. Their offense, they have so many weapons on offense, and their defense is fast and playing pretty well. So yeah,
it should be a lot of field goals. I think you'll have like at least 3 field goals this weekend. Andrew, what do you think, Mr. Expert?
Yeah, I think so. I think there should be a lot of points scored in that game. So I'm expecting a great game from Matt this week.
Okay, Matt. Well, we're rooting for you this week. We all picked you up. We're excited. We can't wait to see what happens on Sunday. Thanks for coming on.
No, thank you guys. That was fun. I'd come back on anytime. That was cool.
That'd be great. Okay, thanks, Matt.
Please do.
I'm Ross the Boss.
Thanks, Matt.
And that was Matt Prater, the all-time record in 64-yarder in